it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle. Shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let that summer sun shine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around. And help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind.
It's perfect outside, it's like God let me dial up the weather. Got the whole crew here, I ain't seen some of them in forever. It's one of those never forget it, better stop and take it in kind of scenes. Everything's just right, yeah, except for one thing. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers. Hey y'all, it's sure been a good year. It's one of those moments that's got your name written all over it. And you know that if I had just one wish, it'd be that you didn't have to miss this. You should be here. You'd be taking way too many pictures on your phone, showing them off to everybody that you know back home, and even some you don't. Yeah, they say now you're in a better place, and I would be too if I could see your face. You should be here, standing with your arm around me here, cutting up, cracking a cold beer, saying cheers.
You may be seated. Well, I just think if Jim could, and I know he can see this, I'm sure he's out here trying to figure out how he can pull some prank on us all. If the power was to go out, I would say thanks, Jim. This is amazing. This shows how much this man was loved. My name is Carol Moorbutter. I've been a friend of the family for years and years. And I want to take a moment to thank them for asking me to do this celebration of life for him. We go back many, many years, lots of memories, and oh, so many laughs. The family wishes to thank each of you for being here today to help in this celebration. You know, Jim would enter a room as a stranger, and by the end of the evening, he would know everyone's name. He was a friend to everyone, but the amazing thing is, if he met you downtown 2 weeks later, he still remembered your name. His smile, his laugh will always be what people talk about. Jim believed in giving 100% of himself, be it to his family, his friends, all the sporting activities he belonged to, or his beloved Moose Lodge. I have many memories of Jim, but one of my favorite is when he lived out in Southminster. He and Gail, and as the kids were added, became our neighbors. Once a year, the family held a barn dance and a pig roast. Now you can just visualize this. Everyone came. Everyone for miles around would be there, and what a time we'd have. Literally, kids running everywhere, and so much food, I'm sure those tables were swayed. But it was the fellowship that went on. I've never seen the like of it. Good times and good memories. Now, I know the girls want to get this part kind of done with. Deanna's already freaking out, but she'll be just fine. Deanna and Ashley, do you want to come up and do the eulogy?
Wow. On behalf of Carmen, Barry, Ashley, myself, and our families, we'd like to thank you all for being here today. We always knew this day would come and that we would gather to celebrate this amazing human. We just really didn't want it to be this soon. Your love, support, and friendship throughout the years and these last few months, weeks, and days is a gift that we'll cherish forever. There's no words to describe the care and compassion that McCaw's has given us, as well as the staff here at the Lloydminster Exhibition Grounds. Thank you to everybody who sent messages, cards, flowers, food. Man, the food. I don't think we've had to cook a meal for 2 weeks, and I think our husbands are probably pretty happy with that. But thank you. Jim Hohne is survived by his 4 children and their families. Deanna and Curtis and their 4 children, Jensen, Cameron, Jayla, and Mackay. Carmen and Brent and their 2 children, Gavin and Gabby. Barry and Coralie and their 2 daughters, Hudson and Harper. Ashley and Joe and their 3 children, Jace, Cage, and Hayes. His sisters, Liz Van Meter, Helen Dare, Maggie Diebert, and Linda Parkin. Sister-in-laws, Lori and John Boken, Terry Waldorf, Peggy Halbo, and Terry Lee and Don Heyer. His brother-in-law, Blaine and Charlene Waldorf. His good friend, Shirley Eastman, and numerous nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, cousins, and a shitload of really, really good friends. He was predeceased by his wife, Gail, his parents, Hans and Hetty, his brother, Frankie, his mother and father-in-law, Jerry and Pat Waldorf, brother-in-laws, Ivan Van Meter, Gordon Dare, Sil Diebert, Greg Parkin, Barry Waldorf, and Brian Waldorf. We're going to try and make this short and sweet, as Dad would want to carry on with it. He'd say, there's egg salad sandwiches and beer to drink. But it's been truly hard to put 73 years of awesomeness into words. We could go on and on for days with the memories he's made and the lives he has touched. So we welcome you all to share those memories later if you choose, when we make our way to the Moose Lodge after lunch, where we'll carry on with the night. Dad always loved to party, and tonight we'll drink to Jimmy. So make sure you stop by his favorite neighborhood liquor store and grab a few.
Jim Hohne, the one and only, was born to Hans and Hetty on May 13, 1949 in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. For the last 73 years, he always took pride in sharing his birthday with his special Auntie Bertha. He really was looking forward to one more, but unfortunately God had other plans. Auntie, he always looked so forward to that call with you. Dad was the oldest of 6 and the proudest of being a big brother to Liz, Helen, Maggie, Linda, and Frankie. Dad grew up across the street here on the north end, and I'm sure 49th Avenue have seen its fair share of bike gangs and ball games with Dad and the Blett boys and many more. As a youngster, it came easy for Dad to make friends, some more loyal than others. One story Dad told us was when Grandpa Hohne had a call from George Matheson saying he wanted to take Dad down to the store because he had a complaint. Dad was blamed for stealing cigarettes. So Grandpa hauled Dad down to Matheson's grocery and said to George, "This is Jim Hohne." And George said, "No, it's not. That's not Jim Hohne." Grandpa said, "Sure the hell is. That's my son." "Well, that's not my kid. That's not the kid that stole the cigarettes." Dad said, "Damn that Dickie McCaw." He had used Dad's name. Dad said he wasn't scared of much, but when that belt, Dad said he wasn't scared of much, but that belt was always the fastest thing coming off Grandpa's pants, and that was one thing he didn't like.
There was one friend that Dad could always rely on, and who would have ever guessed that it was the one he used to share a crib with? That would grow up to be his best friend for life. Yes, that's right. Not sure what went on at nap time, but little Norma Gail Waldorf sure must have had an impact on Jimmy Hohne even at the young age of 4. The Hohnes and Waldorfs were great friends, and it was only a matter of time before Mom and Dad realized that they were destined to be together. Mom and Dad vowed their love for one another on August 21st, 1971. Their first child, with beautiful black hair and sun-kissed skin, was born on May 2nd, 1974. That would be me. Obviously, I wrote this eulogy. Next came another beautiful girl, but this one with blonde hair and blue eyes. Carmen Lee was born on November 2nd, 1977. And although I'm sure Dad was content with his 2 amazing daughters, he longed for that offspring that would carry on the Hohne name, and voila, the bouncing, big, beautiful boy, Barry James, was born on October 2nd, 1979. He got his boy, and I'm sure everyone in Lloyd received a phone call and a blue ribbon cigar. A few years had passed, and the family of 5 was about to grow by one more. Mom and Dad returned from a work trip to Los Angeles, and I overheard Mom tell Auntie Diane that she was pregnant and that Dad didn't know yet. Well, tell me at 9 years old, that wasn't the hardest and most difficult secret I had to keep. And on July 23rd, 1984, the beautiful Ashley Lynn completed the Hohne family, and us Fab 4 were their pride and joy.
You're so taller. Although Dad wore many, many hats, he's so proud of all of them. We will touch base on a few of the most significant ones. The son. Dad always portrayed so much love for his parents. He was proud of being a Hohne, and he honored the name well. He respected his parents in the most admirable way, and this also was true for his aunts and uncles. He was always there to help or lend a hand at the drop of a hat. When the Waldorfs and the Hohnes united through the marriage of Mom and Dad, there was never a hesitation of where he stood with his in-laws. He was a model son and a son-in-law, and even though Grandma and Grandpa aren't around to help write this, we know that they would agree. I do know that Dad struggled with losing his mom at the young age and the fact that he never got to say goodbye. He brought that up a lot. He knew how his heart felt because of this. And we want to believe that last Wednesday, when he took his last breath, he waited for his 4 kids to be there to bid our farewells. Even if his last few moments, he was selfless.
The brother. Dad was a proud brother, and although he didn't always have much to give, what he did was priceless. His advice, his knowledge, his help with almost anything, but most importantly, his love. His siblings will be forever grateful for all he did for them. From renos to demos to working alongside them or even building urns, he always tried to give them whatever he could. He could fix anything. And although it may not have seemed that way in their younger years, as I've been told that Dad never wanted any of his sisters hanging around him. Sister Maggie said Dad called her a brat, and she'd stand in the middle of the room screaming. Sister Liz shared that she always wanted to hang with Dad, only to be told it was boys only. And when sharing stories these last few days, they said that all this seemed to change when Mom came into the picture. Dad became a real good friend to them all. And there was no exception with his in-laws. He always tried to keep the peace within the family, always staying out of drama, but was always an ear for anyone. Sister Terry Lee remembers Dad trying to get her and her friends involved in a Moose youth group, thinking to keep them out of trouble, or his support he showed her when she wanted to take off and join in the World Federation wrestling circuit. Sister Linda said he was that big brother who wanted everyone to go for a ski behind his boat at Perch Lake and would promise her he'd turn around if she fell. In a nutshell, Dad as a brother and a brother-in-law truly made their lives better for being part of their family. He gave the best advice and the best hugs. Sister Lori claims he may even have been the favorite Waldorf kid, as when Dad would go for supper at Grandma and Grandpa's, Grandma would always make them go elsewhere so Jimmy could have a nap on the couch. And just to clarify, when I say sister, that's just what Dad called his siblings and in-laws, brother, sister. Sister Liz, Sister Helen, Sister Maggie, Sister Linda. Definitely no nunnery reference in there, but that's what he called them.
Okay. Papa Moose. Dad was the epitome of moose heart. In 1977, Dad followed in his father's footsteps and became a proud, loyal Order of Moose member. And on May 30th, 2015, he received the highest honor that will ever be, and that was the Pilgrim Degree of Merit. He accepted this with honor, and we were all so very proud of him. In 2021, Dad was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award, which truly displayed the dedication he had towards the Moose. Belonging to the Moose meant more to him than just a fraternity. It was a family. I'd truly be surprised if anyone in this room had ever had Dad. I'd truly be surprised if anyone in this room never had Dad try to sign him up as a member. He was dedicated and took pride in the fact that he and Mom were so heavily involved, and even though lives got busy, us kids would try to make sure we took in as many Moose events as we could. For it was there and then that Dad was truly proud. The family dances were by far his favorite, for it was those nights he proudly showed off his moves. From two-stepping with his granddaughters to the Macarena, Jimmy had a way to liven up the dance floor. Dad continued on his duties year after year and took in so many Moose conventions and events. This allowed him and Mom to see many places, such as Las Vegas, Minnesota, Nashville, Florida, and many more. He made some true and amazing friends over the years, and our family is better off for it. The Moose Lodge is still a huge part of our lives today, and we are grateful for the dedication of both our parents. From this, us and our kids will always have a place to gather and are thankful for the memories and connections that will carry on for the rest of our lives. The crib tournaments, breakfast, poker nights, Christmas parties, and bingos. Oh, the bingos. They'll never be the same without his presence. Speaking of presents, Dad's role as Santa really took off at the Moose Lodge family parties. His love for this continued on, and he quite enjoyed making his way around houses to events playing Santa Claus, even though some kids figured him out with distinct laughter and his memorable voice. There was no better man to play this role. Dad truly was the glue that kept everything together there. When he fell ill and he had to step back, I'm sure Rick can testify that he did more than was seen on the outside to keep that lodge going. Today, his fellow Moose members will give their final farewell, and the Moose Honor Guard. Thank you to all the members who could share this day with us.
The bowler. Looking around this room, I see that many of you have crossed paths with Dad because of bowling. At the very young age of 8, Jimmy put on a pair of bowling shoes, and the rest was history. At the age of 11, Jimmy Hohne, with an average of 121, along with his teammates Ronnie Gunn, Rodney McLean, Keith Lang, and Ronnie George, also known as the Well-Wishers, headed to Toronto to the Bantam Bowling Championship. He always talked to this experience, and he was so proud. His passion for the sport ran deep, and at the age of 3, every one of us kids put on our first pair of bowling shoes. Dad was always proud of his kids and grandkids for carrying on with the sport, as well as his extended family for taking part. The support and guidance he showed everyone that came through the doors of the bowling alley will always be remembered and appreciated by many of us in this room today. Whether you liked it or not, he was always coaching you. Reach and rub, half it up, just throw the damn ball, were many words you'd hear him say. His style and grace on the lanes was one to acknowledge. The man had a golden arm. I'm not sure how many of you can say your dad bowled on TSN, but ours did twice. And we have VHS to prove it, which has been played over and over again at the house this last few days. I think the grandkids were pretty starstruck. Because of Mom and Dad's involvement with the alley and bowling, us kids will be forever grateful for the connections and friendships that have turned into family and lifelong friends and memories. We can't even describe the countless hours spent at the alley, including after schools, weekends, and I even got my own key. I got to go to the bar after it closed. So next time you're taking in a thunderstorm and that crash of thunder rumbles and the lightning strikes, just know that Jimmy just threw a perfect game. Thank you all for you did. Thank you, Dad, for all you did to the sport. Bowlers, you know what to do. Ziggy, ziggy, ziggy!
Oh, God. I started. Okay. Okay, we said this was going to be short and sweet, so bear with us for a little bit longer. The carpenter, Daddy's hands. These hands could fix anything they touched. Dad really was the fixer of everything. He was the quality builder, and he took great pride in his craftsmanship. There are not many houses in Lloydminster that don't have a piece of Jim Hohne's workmanship. He really did touch every corner of this city with his work. If you have a house built by the Triangle Construction or Value Master Homes, before then, you have a great home built. He loved driving around Lloyd. He loved driving around Lloyd with Dad. We loved driving around Lloyd with Dad when he would point out the houses he built. When our family moved to the acreage, Dad decided he needed a barn. Not necessarily for farm animals, but he made sure it held a couple hundred friends for barn dances. Every August for Mom and Dad's anniversary, we hosted a barn dance. There would be a pig roast, greased pig races, and Ralph Murray and his band in the loft, and many drunk wannabe cowboys. And to this day, that barn still stands, and all the stories it could tell. Dad always had the right tool for the job, and if he didn't have it, which was rare, he still would get the job done. His garage was his happy place. Dad could tinker all day in there, and it got to be so frequent that we had to put an intercom in the garage to call him in for supper. Anyone that visited Dad's garage knew it was an organized disaster. Random pieces of wood, hinges and screws, but he would always find use for something, so don't ever throw it out. They went hand in hand with this day of managing the restore. Dad always found a purpose for something. He knew where everything was at any time, but when it came time for a party, it was time to put it away and make room for the drink table and the dance floor. During his home building days, many friendships were formed and turned into family, and some to this day we still call auntie and uncle. As us kids grew up, we could always rely on Dad to help us with anything to fix or build in the house or the yard. Always our first call. He had to teach the son-in-laws a few things, and those will be lessons they will cherish for the rest of their lives, I'm sure. There will not be too many times going forward that we won't want to pick up the phone to ask the question or get approval. Many in this room have been schooled by Dad, and when it comes to carpentry, he always commented and complimented on the job you did. And if he saw a flaw or mistake, he wasn't scared to point it out. He really did have magic hands.
The friend. Everyone had a friend in Jim Hohne. The man could walk into a room of strangers and leave with an armful of friends. This trait probably made me the most proud to be his daughter. His smile lit up the room, and his laugh was hands down the best. People were drawn to him wherever he went. He had the ability to make everyone feel special and loved. He was loyal, and he always had your back. And when you are a good person, you attract good people, and Dad was surrounded by many. Some are you down the street, some are you are right next door, and some are across the country. But wherever you are, if you were his friend, you were loved and appreciated. Last fall, Dad picked himself up a 94 Mustang convertible, but it wasn't the right color. So his good friends, Ron Souster and Brent Steeg, came to town, took it home this past winter, and they had it painted. It was sitting right outside today. Dad was looking so forward to having it back. He was going to do some touring. When we found out about the cancer, he was a bit concerned that any treatment he had would take his hair and it wouldn't flow in the wind in the convertible. Well, unfortunately, Dad never got to see this beautifully finished product, let alone drive it, as the day he went into the hospital was the day it was delivered. I already said that part. So Barry, Carmen, Ashley, and myself are going to take him for one last rip in it before we lay him to rest. Thank you to Ron and Brent for being so amazing. We love you. The north end of Lloyd will be a little less lively, and his famous campfires will be missed. but seeing you all here today is a true testament of how Dad was as a human. On behalf of Dad, we'd like you to know how grateful we all are for all of you. So many of you stand out, especially these last few months, and you know who you are. Would also like to take this time to thank the whole community for the love and support you've shown us. As I read through the thousands of comments and messages that were posted on many Facebook pages, it's truly humbling to us that everyone else has seen what we have known about him all our lives. The man was a legend, and we are so very proud to see what impact Dad had on this community.
The husband. Every woman deserves a husband that treats you like Dad treated Mom. He always tried to be her knight in shining armor and wanted to start the marriage off right, on the right foot, which led to the living room dance lessons from his soon-to-be mother-in-law. They had their ups and downs, but fortunately for us, the major ups and downs created us 4 great kids. But seriously, Dad was a wonderful husband and always treated Mom with respect. He supported her through the years and was a great caregiver to her during her health journey. Dad recognized the importance of the mother role, and when we lost Mom, he did his best to fill that void. He always made sure to have the anniversary and the birthday cards on hand. Some with money, some with not. Attend all the grandkids' events, babysitting on short notice, and playing the cabbie. Well, Mom, you must have been feeling the 7-year itch and you wanted your Jimmy back. Although we wanted him here, we are so happy you are together again.
The dad. To find the best way and appropriate words to describe Dad is difficult. To give this wonderful man the justice he deserves is impossible. There is not one word to summarize our love and respect we have for the one who literally was our world. Some would be love, hero, protector, role model, teacher, supporter, and best friend. Because of the never-ending love Dad showed us, we all have, as parents, understood what we need to provide our own children with. It isn't the materials and the riches, it's the support, the respect, the guidance through life that we will continue to provide our children. He taught us to work hard, but have fun while doing it. He taught us to be kind to everyone you meet. He taught us that it's okay to get down, but you get back up again. He taught us to love and to love hard. And best of all, he taught us to laugh through life. Dad, we hope we made you proud, and we hope you know we will carry forward with grace and dignity, and we'll always smile with pride to be your children. We love you.
Okay. The grandpa. Jensen, Gavin, Cameron, Jayla, Mackay, Jace, Hudson, Gabby, Cage, Harper, and Hayes. Don't ever forget how much joy and love you brought to your grandpa. He was your biggest fan in all you did. When you were around, his eyes got that much brighter, and he smiled even bigger, maybe turned down his hearing aids a bit. But his love and pride for you shone like the brightest star. As you can see by the amount of people here today, you shared him with many. But he would always make time for you, his special little people. He was always grateful for your help and always enjoyed hearing about your achievements. His cheers and laughs and even some words of encouragement for you or the refs could be heard from every stand he sat in. He was super proud of you all and always bragged about you. The bond that you guys share is simply amazing. And the strength that you guys portrayed this last week was one of the most beautiful gifts you could ever have given him. You were blessed with the best. But in general, Dad loved all kids. They were always just drawn to him with his happy disposition. He was Uncle Jim to so many, in addition to his own nieces and nephews that loved him so much.
Good job. Dad really had a love. Dad really had a love for life, In the last few months and weeks, we watched him face his challenges with his head held high. Not once did we ever hear him complain. He made us so proud, and although every part of our being wants him here today, we know that he deserved better. The family reunions, the golf courses, the lake, the lodge, the impromptu visits, the family gatherings, even if it wasn't his family, will never even ever be the same without him. He would have loved to see everyone here today, but I know he has the best seat in the house. The world was a better place with him in it, and we will try our best to navigate the rest of our lives without him. At this time, please grab your refreshment, Jimmy's favorite. And I just wanted to share one more thing. Don't open it yet. Don't open it yet. Don't open it yet. Don't open it yet. That's okay. That's okay. Grab your refreshment. And I just wanted to share one more thing. Oh, never mind. This whole drama stuff or whatever is going on with this beer right now, he wouldn't give a shit. He'd just say, this is so good. So let's give one more cheers to Jimmy. And the count of 3, let's crack it open. That's okay. So cheers to the best damn dad, grandpa, brother, cousin, friend there ever was. 1, 2, 3. Collect the tabs. We have some little people to save them for, so give them to us later. Cheers.
When I got the news today, I didn't know what to say, so I just hung up the phone. I took a walk to clear my head, and this is where the walk-in led. Can't believe you're really gone. Don't feel like going home, so I'm gonna sit right here on the edge of this pier and watch the sunset disappear and drink a beer. Funny how the good ones go too soon, but the good Lord knows the reasons why, I guess. Sometimes a greater plan is kind of hard to understand. Right now it don't make sense. I can't make it all make sense, so I'm gonna sit right here on the edge of this pier and watch the sunset disappear and drink a beer. So long, my friend, until we sit right here on the edge of this pier and watch the sunset disappear and drink a beer. Drink a beer. Drink a beer.
Well, girls, you did a wonderful job. I was a little concerned at the house the other day because the computers kept going back and forth, and I thought, they'll get it all straightened out in the end. It is very hard to prepare a eulogy, especially when it's for your dad. I'm quite sure you've both made him very proud today. Now, I know there's some grandkids that want to come up here, and they're going to give you some memories of their grandpa. Come on up, kids.
I'm Jensen, Jim's oldest granddaughter, as many of you probably know. And when trying to come up with a memory, I got very stressed because I wanted to share one that made sure to encompass how amazing he is. Many of my favorite times with my grandparents occurred at the Moose Lodge during bingo. When I was younger, Gavin, Cameron, and I would go there every day after school with Grandma to help set up for bingo. But when we got older, Grandpa let us stay late and work it with him. He would give all of us our jobs and then kick off his Crocs and walk around barefoot, talking to every single person that was there. And I just remember watching him trying to make everyone laugh and feel special just by talking to them. As everyone probably knows, he was the proudest hockey grandpa, and even though I never played, every time that I was working bingo with him, he would brag to every single person that came up to get cards or just to talk that I was his granddaughter who was going to be a teacher soon. He always had a way to make everyone feel loved or thought of. And then Gavin just wanted to share that every memory of Grandpa is awesome, but all the golfing, gopher shooting, and bowling advice was the best, even if we got stuck in the field or if I had to drive him around the golf course while he drank beer. I'm Cameron, the third oldest grandchild. I'm going to touch on something I'm sure everyone knows about Grandpa, which is his love for coffee. And by coffee, I mean mostly sugar with a hint of caffeine. Looking back on my memories with Grandpa, I came to a realization that he is the main reason for the amount of caffeine that I drink today. I will always remember weekend mornings at Grandma and Grandpa's, sitting on his lap while he drank his morning cup, and our many, many days at the Moose. I'm sure all of you Moose members remember me and Jensen running around all hyped up on sugar, which is probably because Grandpa told us it was okay to have 4 or 5 sugar cubes in a singular cup of coffee. And that as long as it was in a sippy cup and we didn't tell Mom or Dad, it was acceptable for a 4-year-old to drink the full thing. Unfortunately, Jayla couldn't be here today, but she wanted to share this. Her best memory of Grandpa is when she would be home alone and she would hear someone enter the garage thinking somebody was breaking in. When she got up the courage to go see if someone random was in her house, after hiding in her room for about an hour, she'd go upstairs and see Grandpa making himself a cup of coffee while reading the paper or watching the hockey highlights. He always made himself at home.
Grandpa was one of my biggest supporters, and all I remember about him, my biggest memory about him, was when he said, "Holy hell, you skate like McDavid."
There was never a dull moment with Grandpa. He would always find the good in any situation and always have a smile on his face. Even though these past few months have been hard, he never gave up. He stayed positive and kept his head high until the very end. I have many memories with Grandpa that I'll forever hold close to my heart, but Grandpa also taught me things that I'll remember forever. Some of these things being that through thick and thin, there's always room for smiles, laughs, and jokes. And even when things aren't going your way, it's important to stay positive. Grandpa was always positive and never talked negatively about anything or anyone. He always put family first. He always put his family and friends first and showed me how important that was. He's my #1 fan, and I could count on him to be at as many hockey games as he could. I also have endless memories of summers at the lake with Grandpa, things like eating breakfast together, sitting around fires, jumping off the dock, being on the boat, me giving him a haircut, drinking our floats, building something, spending time at the Bokens, watching movies and going for drives, playing beanbags, and everything else we enjoyed doing together will never be the same without him. I also remember the first time I cut my hair in the Lori Craven. Grandpa was the highest bidder, but just couldn't cut my hair. So instead, he made Auntie Dee do it. It wasn't the most perfect haircut because she left my hair a little lopsided, but it will forever be my favorite haircut. I also remember at one of our family reunions, Grandpa took me and Gavin go for hunting. We didn't end up doing much hunting because we may have got stuck, but it's the fun that counts. Another memory I have with Grandpa is when he had to take me to one of my friend's birthday parties. Mom and Dad happened to be busy, but just like always, Grandpa was there to help me out. Instead of going on the road, Grandpa intended that we go through the field. I don't know what gave him the idea to go through the field, but he had fun doing so, as I remember seeing nothing but pure joy on his face. I will forever cherish these special moments and memories and hold on to them as tight as I can. His positive impact on everybody and contagious laugh will live on forever. No words can describe how amazing of a grandpa he was, and I'm beyond grateful to be able to call him my grandpa. I'll always miss him and love him so much. Please have a dance with Grandma for me.
Grandpa was above all an outgoing soul, and so much more. God took him too soon. He could put a smile on anyone's face. He always gave the great advice. The last advice he gave me was before my volleyball provincials. And he said, having a smile on your face makes more people want to be around you. He truly followed that, and so will I. I had so many great memories with Grandpa, and our adventure ended too soon. But one of my favorites was probably the garage sale treasures. He would always find good stuff, like my rebounder for pitching, or the red carpet that he bought me for me and my sister. I will miss your laugh and all our wiener roasts and all of your good advice. You always manage to make everyone here feel special from your kind heart. You are a proud grandpa to all 11 of us and probably will still be watching down on us. We will all continue on making you proud, and I love you so much, and you will be missed by so many.
Gabby just wanted to share that she has so many memories of Grandpa, and one of her favorites is how he would come to her house for roast beef supper. He would always need to have beet pickles, and he would put lots of them on a lot of his things, but she remembers him putting them on his potatoes. Specifically with these suppers, he would even leave the casino to come.
I have so many memories with Grandpa, but here are a few of them. And I remember when I was little, we always used to jump off the top of the pontoon boat. And once Grandpa came, and we kept begging him to come on, and he finally said yes. And he came and climbed up that ladder and jumped off and dove in like a superstar. I will forever remember that.
Another memory that Cage has is he remembers one afternoon when they were at the lake, and it was lunchtime, so we called Grandpa to come eat, and he walked down to our camper and he was laughing, so we looked, and there was Grandpa, and he had his boobs taped up so he could tan under his boobs. And then another memory that Cage had was one day when they were at the lake, he wanted to go for a paddle boat ride. So they were going to have to carry the paddle boat down the stairs, but Grandpa said that we should just get in and push it down the hill into the water. So Cage and Jace got in and he pushed us down the hill, but when we got to the bottom, it nosedived. And when it fell, I fell out into the water, but it was so cold that I didn't even touch the water because that's how fast I was back in the paddle boat.
Me and Hayes' memory is when Grandpa used to pick us up from school and he would take us to the Moose Lodge.
He would make us sort the bingo balls and tickets, and sometimes he would give us $5 and take us to the candy store.
My favorite memory of Grandpa is when he used to come to my house for supper and I would do his hair. There's even a picture in the slideshow. And then he would take me to get a Slurpee. I have endless memories with Grandpa, and these are just a few of them. I will miss him so much. He was the best grandpa ever. He did not deserve what he went through.
I have so many, but I chose this one. When we were at the lake, we would go to his trailer for breakfast, and he was always happy and never grumpy, and he always had a smile on his face.
I'm not sure how the kids moved this, but I'm sure not having fun with it. Does not want to come up for me. This is the behind the scenes man, by the way. Well, grandkids, you can all relax. You did good. And I'm sure both Grandma and Grandpa are very proud of you all today. Well, some of you finish your drinks. We are now going to watch the PowerPoint over here.
I remember Daddy's hands folded silently in prayer and reaching out to hold me when I had a nightmare. You could read quite a story in the calluses and lines. Years of work and worry had left their mark behind. I remember Daddy's hands, how they held my mama tight and patted my back for something done right. There are things that I've forgotten that I loved about the man, but I'll always remember the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands were hard as steel when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands. I remember Daddy's hands working till they bled was still when I'd done wrong. Daddy's hands weren't always gentle, but I've come to understand there was always love in Daddy's hands.
Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Sometimes it feels like this world's gone crazy. Grandpa, take me back to yesterday.
Take your butt. Everybody go.
Something people can't, not just something they would say. Families really bow their heads to pray. Daddies really never go away. Oh, oh, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Grandpa, everything is changing fast. We call it progress, but I just don't know. And Grandpa, let's wander back into the past, then paint me the picture of long ago. Lovers really fall in love to stay, stand beside each other, come what may. Is promise really something people kept, not just something they would say and then forget? Families really bow their heads to pray. Daddies really never go away. Oh, oh, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Oh, oh, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Families really bow their heads to pray. Daddies really never go away.
If you don't get in the water. When the fish would bite, seems there was nothing that he didn't know. And as a kid I believed, 'cause Grandpa told me so. He talked Daddy into letting me have my first car. I thought I was really something, but Becky Thompson broke my heart. That first taste of love nearly did me in. Getting over her was slow, and I knew someday I would, 'cause Grandpa told me so. He said life was made for you to live. The best love is the love that you give. There'll be times when you wanna hold on, but you gotta let go. And I live by those words, 'cause Grandpa told me so. I promised him I wouldn't cry when it was his time to leave. That's the only promise I made him I couldn't keep. He smiled from his bed and said we'll meet again somewhere down the road. And I believe, 'cause Grandpa told me so. He said life was made for you to live. The best love is the love that you give. There'll be times when you wanna hold on, but you gotta let go. And I live by those words, 'cause Grandpa told me so. He said life is made for you to live. The best love is the love that you give. There'll be times when you wanna hold on. Grandpa told me so. Grandpa told me so. I still believe. Grandpa told me so. I still believe.
I don't know why God always takes the good ones first. And man, I've tried to be strong and carry on, but damn, this hurts. And I just wish that I could talk to you again somehow, some way. Even if it's for a moment, so I can hear you say, don't cry for me, I'm alright. Yeah, I'm better than you know. And this life can be a shorter ride So don't waste it on sorrow, and just hold on to those moments and the memories we shared. We're both headed for the same place anyway. I just beat you there. I know they say, just give it a little time, you'll be okay.
Are you gonna play hockey? Look here, please, boy, hey. Good job. Come on. All right, back it up. Come on. Sit on Santa's knee. Oh, you got a puppy. Huh?
Is that Santa?
Look at puppy goes like this.
Santa bring treats?
I actually think that's my grandpa.
That's not. You're silly.
Ho, ho, ho.
It's a nice thing to see so many old friends out here and all the things we used to do together, like bowling, barn dancing, fishing, camping, Christmas tree hunting, and having kids together and playing ball. I love all the children out here. I have so much fun with all the little people and the grandkids putting on a show for me. That's the best birthday present a guy could ever get, eh? So thank you, my grandchildren, for helping do that for me. And just eat the food that the kids made for you, and have a good time. Visit and stay as long as you like, because I'll be here till you're all gone, okay? Thank you very, very much.
When I think of you, like I know you'd want me to, and I know you're watching over.
The family tells me that that's only a small part of the photos that they had to go through to make a PowerPoint. I'd ask Diane Stieg to come out now and do a scripture reading for us.
Well, I think what I am going to read goes along with what all has been said. Jim was all about love and having fun. And there was a lot of joy he carried. So the reading is from Luke 10. I got to adjust this. Luke 10, 25 to 37. One day, an expert in religious law stood up to test Jesus by asking him this question: "Teacher, what should I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus replied, "What does the law of Moses say? How do you read it?" The man answered, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "Right," Jesus told him. "Do this and you will live." The man wanted to justify his actions, so he asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." This is what Jim was. He treated everybody equal, and he treated them with love. So another scripture that comes to mind is, "You must love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself." Jim showed this love to everyone. So he knew God's love. And no matter what you lose here on earth, you will never lose God's love. And to all you kids, grandkids, Jim, your father, your grandpa, his love carries on in each one of you, and it will go from generation to generation. So I know this is a very sad moment, but he lives through you. And when you experience this sadness, just think of all the joy that he brought to you, because the joy is your strength. Just laugh at the enemy who tries to bring you down and sad times, because your dad was love, and he treated everybody equal. He was that good Samaritan. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Those scriptures are so fitting for Jim, as he always put others ahead of himself. I want to add one other scripture to the service, and the family thought it was really a good one. It's found in Matthew 11:28-30. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I truly believe that Jim was getting tired, and no doubt he was ready to join those that had gone on ahead of him. But especially, he was back with Gail, the love of his life. As their ashes will be joined together, and I can only imagine the joy that they have being together again. Now, it might come as a surprise, but Jim did have a favorite hymn. Let us now just sit back and listen to the old rugged cross.
On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trouble
at last I lay down, and I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. To the old rugged cross I will ever be true. Its shame and reproach gladly bear. Then he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. And I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down, and I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Yeah, I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
I don't think any of you would argue with me when I say Jim loved to tease. He would be out at the Lashburn golf course, and he always wanted to know where the manager was hiding. He and Larry Gertzke had a very special friendship. As soon as Jim found Larry, he would give him the biggest old bear hug, and Larry G. hated it. Jim knew that, and he still proceeded to give Gertzke one big hug. Larry would have loved to have been here today, but he is currently fighting his own cancer battle. But he said, be sure to remember him to the kids. It is good that we are here together. We need each other as we face and try to understand Jim's death. Our grief is great, but our love is stronger than even our grief. Our love for Jim, our love for Jim's family, and our love for each other. Our love for humanity and our love for life. Our love compels us to have this celebration today because we are glad that Jim lived, and we are glad we had him for 73 years. Jim was so full of life, and he gave life to us. We are richer in things and wiser in thoughts, more abundant in all those qualities of a husband, a father, and a grandfather that brought love to our world and made it a better place because of all that Jim did. Now, you know, there's absolutely no way that I could talk today about all that Jim did in his life. We would be here all weekend. I like to imagine a big, beautiful bouquet of flowers. These flowers here today are all things of beauty. And I want you to think that you will take away with you a flower from the bouquet to signify what Jim gave to you, and to signify perhaps a new understanding of his life, how his life filled our common world. I'm going to ask that we take a quiet moment to silently remember the person that Jim was, how he touched your life personally, how Jim contributed to making each of us the person that we are. This will just be a short moment to meditate. If you feel the need to say a prayer, by all means do. But for now, let us take a quiet moment. I know that many of you today signed the cooler as you came in. And I was thinking, isn't it too bad we didn't have a jar out there where you could write a little note to the family telling them of what your memory is of Jim. I do ask that each and every one of you share with the family your thoughts and your stories of Jim. I'm not going to kid you. There's going to be some very hard days ahead, months ahead maybe. Deanna, Carmen, Barry, and Ashley, and all of the family, you need to share your dad's memories with each other, with family, and with friends, so that one day grief will become peaceful and a comfortable way of life. We are glad that Jim lived. His life filled our lives and has made the world a better place to live and love. Each of us will remember Jim in our own private way forever, and we cannot forget how Jim's life has blessed this community. We will be there for one another when we needed comfort, to guide and to help us, and to help each other as we are able. Together we will survive the grief we feel and once again live more deeply and more abundantly because Jim lived. Though we can never replace Jim in the days of our lives, believe me when I say he will always remain a presence in us because love never, ever ends. I'm going to ask a good friend of Jim's to come up, Rick, who is going to read the dash.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Wochuk. As I can see, I'm only one of many friends that Jim had. Jim was my best friend. Jim, I will miss having early morning coffee with you. I will miss gopher hunting and drinking beer with you. I will miss your visits before bingo. I will miss your early morning breakfasts or late breakfasts. I will miss playing cards until hours of the night. I will miss partying with you at the Moose. I will miss the campfires, the country drives. I will miss the talks, the fun, the smiles. I will miss the talks, the smiles. I will miss the laughs, the talks, the smiles, and the fun you would bring every time we were together. Jim, I will miss you lots. I think this poem that I'll read has a little something for everyone to ponder. It's written by Linda Ellis, The Dash. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noticed that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. He said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For the dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth. Now only those who love him will know what that little dash is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the houses, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. To be less quick to anger, to show appreciation more. To love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? I know Jim would be proud of what we will say about his dash. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I know Jim appreciated all that you did for him and for the moose. You know, Jim was never a complainer, but he also had no use, and I'm using his words here, for lazy-assed people. Jim volunteered and participated in so many groups. I figure either he didn't know how to say no, or he just didn't want to. The bowling alley was Gail's and his life for 8 years. How many kids learned to bowl because of their dedication? I know we have 2 daughters that did. Coach Ball, again, my kids were there. The Laurie Craven Memorial Ball Tournament. Every year a team was entered as he felt he needed to give back. The Moose Bingo was his baby, and last Wednesday evening, Bingo was canceled in respect for Jim. He was always on the front line of the Moose Breakfast held throughout the year. Let's face it, this man loved people. He loved helping. He loved life. And he's going to be missed big time in our lives and in our community. If you need any more proof, go to his obituary on McCaw's site. Have a cup of coffee because there's a lot of them there to read through. So many tributes to this man, so many wonderful memories. I want to include a poem that was posted by Donella. It made me laugh, and it's so Jim. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in an attractive and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in sideways, lobster in one hand, a cold beer in the other, body thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and screaming, "Whoa! What a ride, Gail, honey, I'm home." The family and the extended family will be going out to the Lloyd Cemetery, where Jim and Gail will be placed in the columbarium. I promise we're not going to be out there very long, and the family will be back to do what Jim loves best, visit and socialize. I'm now going to step down here and bless the urn. And if you get a chance at some point later, ask Barry about the fun they had today with the urn. They found the urn in Jim's woodworking shop, and it was perfect until they realized today it wasn't going to fit. So nobody wanted Barry to sit around doing nothing today. So he got to readjust it a little bit so it does. As a vital part of this community for so many years, Jim, you touched a lot of lives. You will live on in our memories and in the values that you've nurtured. Hard work, sense of humor, importance of family and friends, the willingness to help out, and the practice of never judging people. Have a very safe journey, Jim. I know that you are so glad to be back with Gail. Until we meet again, stay safe. Please join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Goodbye, dear friend. We will now exit to the cemetery, and the moose will form an honor guard.
May luck and love be your friends, for now, always, forever, till we meet again. May your troubles be few. I hope life's good to you. May your heart beat steady and strong. Yeah, I wish you the best. May you find happiness every step of the road you're on. May the wind fill your sails through the rain and the hail and carry you safely back home. May your journey unfold to a big pile of gold at the end of the old rainbow. May the sun shine on your shoulders. May luck and love be your friends, for now, always, forever, till we meet again. May life fill your glass, may the memories last, and the whiskey kiss you goodnight. May you wake every day with a smile on your face, and the ones that you love by your side. May the sun